So during our mentorship program, a lot of my students ask questions around mindset and around time management. And I think one of the things I've learned about money management when I'm coaching people, mentoring them around money and finance and investing, is it's not the money that's the biggest problem, it's the behavior trait. And money is 80% behavior and 20% knowledge. What pops up is often, well, what type of mindset do I need to become wealthy? Or what type of behavior do I need to become wealthy? And so on the behavior side of things, it's typically how you manage your time that will dictate how you manage your money. Those that are masters of their time become masters of their money. It's very easy to fall into the victimhood of blame, complain, and justify that you don't have enough time to do the things that are going to produce wealth for you. And so recently on a call, one of my students said, Lord, I don't really have the time. It was basically around the blaming of work. Like my job. And that's the reason why I can't do all these things. I said, well, how long do you work in your job? He said 8 hours a day, but I commute 2 hours, 2.5 hours a day. I said, so what you're telling me is that 10.5 hours you commit to your job every day and 2.5 hours of that is commuting. He said, yes. I said, okay, great. We just got to get rid of the commute. And you've created 2.5 hours of time a day, which is over 10 hours a week of time you can spend developing things like a side hustle, like your knowledge around creating money and growing it. And so when he said, well, how do I do that? I said, well, you obviously live far away from where you work. He said, yes. I said, well, you've got two choices. You either move close to where you work, which is an absolute choice. It's a choice where you live. I don't know why people live an hour and a half away from where they work. Unless the rent is very affordable, it makes a lot of sense to do that, fine. But if you can live close to work, it's a real wealth hack because you do save a lot of time. But I said, look, you don't have to move. But what you can do is, can you take public transport? And he said, actually, I used to. I said, well, what changed? He said, I don't know. I just got in my car. It's just more convenient. I said, well, whenever you're driving, you're using up that valuable time that you could be working. And so I said, what if you just for a week, just for 7 days, trialed out public transport for 7 days to see the time you can save and see what productivity you can create for yourself? And at the same time as doing that, what about the petrol you're going to save? What about the miles on your car you're going to save? The maintenance costs you're going to save? So it's a double-edged sword. It's actually a double dip. You get to save money in petrol and running costs of your car, and you also get to spend time producing instead of consuming. So if he takes public transport for 7 days and finds 10 hours of productivity, what can that do for his money? He can work on his side hustle. He can connect with people through social media. He can listen to or read a book or whatever it might be. That's going to progress him forward. So if you can take away the excuses and stop blaming things and stuff for why you're not wealthy, then you can win. But you got to take ownership of that, and you got to stop being a victim and blaming and complaining things that just aren't real. That's a bold step for him to do that, of course, because it's literally changing behavior. Getting on public transport versus getting in your car is a change of convenience behavior. And so if he can do that, he's on his way to actually producing money. So you have to be very, very bold when it comes to actually changing your daily routine to be able to develop more money, okay? And it ain't pretty, it's very inconvenient, but that's why it'll get you success, because if success was convenient, everybody would do it, all right? So my question to you is, what are some of the things you can do in your daily routine or weekly routine to get rid of some of the stuff that's taking your time and spend the time needed to produce, be a producer, produce things that are going to develop relationships, connections, money, a network, knowledge, and all those things that lead to wealth, all right? So that's the lesson for today. Leave me a question in the comments and click the subscribe button, and I'll see you soon.